Hello. I wanted to first talk about the emotions that are associated with those two different mindsets. The first one being the mindset of an owner, and the second one being the mindset of a guardian. So when we're in a position where we're judging, blaming, placing expectations on our dog, not seeing the results that we think we should be seeing, despite us not having put any effort into getting those results and expecting our dog to be successful without any input from us, and quite oftentimes with a lot of inconsistency and confusion from us, then when we look at that emotional state or that emotional mindset, we can see that it could come from a place, or it could actually stem into things like resentment, frustration, even anger. And if we compare that with the emotional mindset of a guardian, someone who's actually has the position of wanting to protect and defend their dog in situations, they're going to be looking at everyday situations and their dog's life from their perspective. So then we can see the emotion of the human is then going to be one of assistance, guidance, nurture, and that's going to be a place of empathy and compassion as well. And I mentioned also that in another video that empathy, compassion and consistency, as well as understanding, they're the cornerstones of training, if you like. But I also wanted to talk about the word training itself. When we use the word training, and when we think about words like obedience training, getting our dog to obey commands, that sort of language has consequences for the dog. It suggests that if they don't obey, then there are not very pleasant consequences. So shifting the language, changing the language, helps shift our mindset, and it helps us to live that mindset. And what I'm wanting you to think about is actually shifting your thinking and really shifting it to one of being a guardian rather than seeing yourself as an owner. Rather than taking ownership of your dog, taking guardianship for your dog is the mindset and is the secret to helping our dogs live with us in harmony. And I want to just talk about the word training quickly. So when we're talking about the word training, to me, it can actually have the effect of an invisible line being drawn and separating the human from the dog. Even though training is a pretty neutral word, but still, it still suggests that it's the human that has all the answers because they are the one training the dog. But very often, the dog is the key to us understanding how to train that dog. But more importantly, we should be using the word teach. So I think teach has a sense of being a mentor, being helpful, guiding, assisting our dogs, rather than training them to perform a certain way, because we I suppose what to me the word training also suggests that we would be asking our dog to perform a behaviour at a certain period of time, but that can also be in complete contrast to what their emotional state's telling us, and therefore it's going to be incompatible with that emotional state in some circumstances if we're trying to get them to sit when the kids are running around or they're jumping up because they're very excited they haven't seen us for a while. So when I use language, and I have shifted the way or the language that I've used over the years as I've come to know more about behaviour, about dog behaviour and animal behaviour in general. But when you find that you shift the language that you use, you also help to shift that mindset into one of being a guardian for your dog. And I wanted to talk about an insight that I had. Now, I receive emails, of course, from people that are inquiring about dog training. And one particular email back and forth has been going on for maybe almost a couple of months now. Now, the person hasn't decided as yet to hire me to help train their dogs. But over that 8-week period, I don't think that person has actually managed to hire somebody else, because I've received another email recently suggesting that this person wasn't feeling completely comfortable and wasn't sure if I was going to be the right fit for helping her to train her dogs. And in one of the replies that she sent to me, she was asking questions like, how do I stop my dog from doing this, doing that? How do I stop my other dog? How is this going to help my dogs in whatever situations? How do I stop such and such behaviour occurring? How is this going to help? How are you going to be able to help with socialising or stopping this behaviour? And I realised that the information that I actually replied and the information that I was telling this person about myself and my approach was probably something that she had never heard before and was probably confusing. Because I could have said, yes, I can help you stop your dog from doing this, stop your dog from doing that, I can do this and I can do that. But that's not truthful, and it isn't the truth. And this is the insight that I had, because we see on Facebook and Instagram all of these sponsored ads, all of these advertisements about dog training. And honestly, a lot of the dog training advertisements make me cringe, because you scroll down and there's 5,000 words of, do you want to know the secrets of dog training, how to stop your dog's bad behaviour? Just the press of a button and, this sound will stop your dog from doing this. And it really is quite heartbreaking, because it's false advertising. And you have to understand that the answers are right there with you. All you have to do is look at your dog and shift your mindset to being a guardian for your dog. Because when you shift your mindset to being a guardian, you take everything into account. You take into account protecting your dog from psychological and physical harm. You also take into account that it's your responsibility to provide a set of guidelines and a framework for your dog, so you're consistent, you're predictable and you're reliable for your dog. So they are clearly being communicated to and they understand what it is that you'd like them to do and perform behaviour-wise in everyday situations. And it helps us to help our dogs live in harmony with us. And I really believe as humans that we need to evolve from the current language that we're using, this obedience training, teaching your dog how to listen to your commands, training your dog in this situation, training your dog to heel, training your dog to come when called, or training your dog just robotically to do things, because it's separating the emotional state of the dog from the behaviour. And the behaviour and the emotional state of your dog is absolutely intertwined. And so being a guardian takes all of these things into account. Now, shifting your mindset to being a guardian can be one of the easiest things, or it can be one of the most difficult things that you will ever do. And the reason why is because you're hanging on to all of your blame, your judgment, your expectations. You're thinking that it has to be done your way, this way. But behaviour and emotions don't work that way. And this is why the science of emotion and the science of behaviour is so fascinating, because when we think about being a guardian, and you might be thinking, oh, well, look, it's just a dog. It's just a dog. Once again, we've labelled a sentient, pain-feeling, living, breathing animal that has emotions and feels pain, we've labelled that animal as an it, and we've then classified or given the impression that that dog is now property, is now a thing. And once again, this is what guardianship is all about, understanding that our dogs are living, breathing, pain-feeling animals that feel emotions just like us. So I wanted to really delve into that concept of being a guardian. And just getting back to the email ping-ponging from this person who emailed me. Now, that's the thing. It's not up to me. It's up to that person to take on board the skills and the techniques and the concepts that I can provide, and take them and use them in real world opportunities to help her dogs. And I really do believe that as humans we do really need to evolve to a higher level, shift at the way that we think about our dogs. Because when we do that, we open up such a beautiful world and a wonderful world that we may not have realised that we could actually experience with our companion animals. Now, I wanted to, just as in closing this video, I wanted to ask you, or challenge you, just to give you an idea of the difference between ownership and guardianship might be in an everyday situation. So next time you're out walking your dog, what I'd like you to do is just walk your dog the way you would normally walk your dog. And then the next time you take your dog for a walk, what I'd like you to do is every time your dog wants to go in a different direction, or wants to stop and sniff, or wants to do something that you don't want to do, that you might not want to stop walking because you might be looking at your mobile phone, you might be chatting to someone while you're walking, you might want your dog to heel right next to you, you might want to get the walk over and done with. I want you to drop all of those expectations and all of those things, all of that white noise that's going on in your head about how you think your dog needs to walk with you on leash, and just let your dog lead the way. And when you get the urge, or you feel like you need to pull on their collar and say, no, come on, this way, I want you to just stop and just let your dog have a sniff and continue to do what they prefer to do. And then we start to get an idea of what our dogs may actually experience when we're out walking with them, but they aren't able to communicate vocally through conversation or language, verbal language, but they communicate things to us, of course, very succinctly via their body language clues. So, but I just want to challenge you just with that little exercise there. And I think that's also going to start helping you to reconnect with your dog, and just dropping all of the expectations and the baggage and the false mindset that you need to get results every time you're training your dog, or thinking that you're training with your dog. Well, I think that's where we'll leave the video, and we'll talk again soon.